So
these moments right before you start shooting.
yeah, I mean, I feel like for me now, I don't really feel nerves as much as I just feel like I want to make sure that we get it right. Like, you know, like it's not so, before it used to be more like a thing of like, oh, do I look okay? Like, am I going to say something stupid? But now it's just like more of like all right, let's crush this. Let's make sure that this hour and a half is fucking phenomenal, you know, and we get every angle that we need.
Yeah. That's how I feel about the events now. And it's definitely shifted from, I hope I don't mess this up, to let's crush this.
Yeah, man. Oh man. There's so much, John. I don't know where to begin with you, man. Crap. We met back in 2019.
Yeah, July, during the Greatness Collective house builds for families. So that's where we first met, and we were bunk mates, I believe. And now look at us here. Here we are. I think what I want to ask you if you feel that there were any plot points, even all the way back through to childhood, that got us to this point right here, that you feel really shaped who you are and gave you that drive to now build a retreats business, a mastermind / tribe, really is what it is. The it's
abundant
a tribe of tribe leaders.
The abundant tribe leaders.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, tell me from the beginning, and then we can come back to the present moment and go from there.
It directly has to do with my own being outcast from tribe. If we were to look at that, that's just obviously where it starts. At 12, I was teased for how I looked. I thought about things in a bigger, deeper level than most kids. Didn't really have the words to communicate my thoughts, so I came off stupid or pretentious or just weird. So it was a lot of lunches by myself, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And this is a time when you're wanting to fit in. You know, you want to have tribe. And I was denied that. And it wasn't until late high school that I developed real bonds of friends, and some of whom you've gotten to know, that are my dear friends to this day. And one of the driving forces for me in high school was to melt all the different cliques together. So a pivotal point was my senior year. One of my friends was turning 18, and my parents were out of town. So I said, we're going to throw a house party at my house, invite everyone from all the cliques. Partly because we weren't really getting invited to parties anyhow, so we had to host our own. And what would it be like to have people from all the different groups together? Jocks, the academic folks, the theater kids, the skaters. And we had about 80 people show up to that, people having conversations together for the first time. And then come Monday, I saw them having lunch, some of these people, together for the first time, having relationships that would never have happened otherwise. And I knew this is the best game in town. How can there be a higher calling than this? To unify people, to bring them together. The quality of our life is the quality of our relationships. So if you can create higher quality relationships for people, to me, there's no higher calling. The challenge came to be how to monetize that, which we can get to. And thankfully, we figure out a way and now teach others how to do that. And that's really where it started.
And I empathize so much with those parts of your story. Just feeling, for me, it was my brother growing up. When my brother got diagnosed with autism, it was a shock. And through my childhood, like just that sinking in feeling of like, man, I'm, here I am. I have a brother that was supposed to do life with me, and now here I am alone. And I just remember through kindergarten, first grade, all the way through, I just remember I would cry when a kid wouldn't want to come, like a friend of mine wouldn't want to come and hang out, after school and come over, and he would choose to go hang out with his other friend. So, and that carried on through into high school even, when I kind of thought I had things figured out, and then I took that antibiotic that totally robbed me of my mental health and my peace of mind, going from feeling like I had a tribe, feeling like I had a friend group, to spending most lunches on my own. Could hardly read the words on the page because of what was going on with my vision and my just the thoughts in my head being so loud. So that was one thing that I always felt looking back, like my darkest times were when I felt like I didn't have a tribe, you know? And of course you have your parents and you have your family, but there's something about a group of peers specifically, like having that group, feeling that you are included, that you are a part of the whole, that I feel, to be honest, I just feel is something that when I look out right now at the United States and the state of things, the state of the youth, it just, to me, it kind of breaks my heart looking at like how many people are there out there that are still struggling with this feeling of isolation.
And there's a unique satisfaction to creating your own, just like how there would be of a person who inherits their wealth and never has to work a day in their life versus someone who creates their own wealth. It's a much different fulfillment that comes from creating it on your own. It's the same thing with our deepest relationships. If you inherit those relationships, so let's say the small town scenario, the immediate family, that's going to carry limited fulfillment versus the person who left and found their true family, their soul family, tribe outside. And that's something that bonds every one of us, from what I've seen, who come to Abundant Tribe Leader. The sense of it wasn't it, wherever it was that they grew up from, Monty growing up in India, Dr. Kalpana leaving Florida, on and on. That's like the through line, is that something was missing from how they grew up. Mm-hmm. And then coming here, it's like, all right, I'm meant to create my own tribe. And then so too, those who perhaps didn't have that ideal upbringing get to be a part of this.
So I know you were a speaker's coach, and that was really where you got started in your entrepreneurial journey. I'd love to hear more about how those skills that you started sharpening back then even apply now to Abundant Tribe Leader.
Well, that was the first time I actually found success as an entrepreneur. So I started producing music and arts festivals, which I liken more to gambling than actually running a business. So after up and down in that, I finally found success training entrepreneurs with their public speaking. The importance of having a niche, I got that. Having a system to rinse and repeat and be able to train people to produce these results. In my case, how to create at least $10,000 in revenue every time you get on stage in terms of clients or investors. Now, the thing that I came up against was within the coaching industry, how the bubble aspect of it, that a lot of us go into it believing that we're here to awaken or evolve humanity, when in fact it's just coaches, coaching coaches, coaching coaches, coaching coaches. It's a tough spot to be in because that's your ravenous audience that's willing to pay. Obviously, that's from an alignment standpoint. They have to pay coaches if they're going to be getting coaching clients themselves. Yet this plateau I hit of about $250,000 a year, there was something stopping me from really taking to that next level of being a 7-figure coach, right? That coveted land of being a 7-figure coach. Is that bigger impact in the world? I didn't see how it was going to happen. I didn't believe in it any longer. I could feel myself lying when I was on stage saying that we're here awakening humanity and the effect this will have. It's like, no, this is more about you getting clients every time. And as much as I could be excited about the transformational impact they would have with their clients, it wasn't like there was a methodology that I had created with them in terms of transforming their clients' lives. I was just like hoping they were going to do a good job. My leg of the race was just to get the clients into their practice. From there, it was like, okay, I hope this all turns out for everyone. So that always bothered me.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was more of a money-driven thing. Mm-hmm. And there was something really important missing in terms of the game that I was up to.
Mm-hmm. And I know, so you started hitting 250K a year. I know you were in business with your ex-wife.
That's right.
So how did that, do you feel, play into now, like maybe some of the lessons or anything that you feel during that time that kind of shaped how you're now approaching Abundant Tribe Leader?
Well, I can speak to working with your spouse. Mm-hmm. It's not for everyone. Each of the person's voice in the couple needs to be fully heard and expressed. And that wasn't happening with us. She was the production manager. So she had a portion of the event proceeds were going to her and her salary. Yet she had her own calling and impact to make that was being suppressed in this particular role. So that didn't work well for us. I knew that if I was going to work with my partner again, that would have to be in a way that I would be elevating her voice. I would be really honing in on her greatness and amplifying it. And it turned out that way with Monsi, I mean, beyond what I had originally thought it would be, where basically we built the whole niche around her. Alternative health, alternative wealth. She had different businesses and zones of genius that were kind of, some in health, some in wealth, and how to bring it all together. That's where my unique experience with live events and creating tribe came in, because it struck me that Monsi was clearly not the only one, neither was I, who was drawn to these things. I was on that track of alternative health and alternative wealth. She just was much further along as an expert in these areas. So how do we call forth those people together as a tribe? Other lessons from that time is to keep evolving. If you're not around people who are evolving you, then take what's working. Don't just throw baby out the bathwater. I mean, it turns out that's what happened. I think there's this tendency I've had to tear down, rebuild. There's some appeal, I think, to that Jerry Maguire scene of just like, I quit, I'm out. And I think I would be less dramatic about it now. I think I would look at my assets I had currently and say, all right, well, how do I pivot and create some passive income through an online course and just be more multifaceted as an entrepreneur, as opposed to just all or nothing with it. So if I had greater wisdom at the time and a larger perspective around my financial future, I would do that differently.
So now we're moving closer into the present here. You guys have done 3 retreats so far with Abundant Tribe Leader. Brought me on just before the second to last. And I'd just love to I'd love to know, why do you do it? What gets you up in the morning and gets you excited to build this tribe?
Man, I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. And I've tried other things. This is what I always come back to, is creating tribes. And the piece that was missing about the bigger game in the world, when that locked in for me, probably with each retreat it becomes clearer. I had some inkling of it going to the first one, and then seeing who shows up, seeing the conversation that comes up, because as you know, obviously, we have a decentralized model of leadership. Yes, it's us up there, yet our job is to really empower the sovereignty and the wisdom of the group, to call forth a genius within you that you didn't know you had, that you may suspect it was there, to unleash it, to have it be heard in a group setting like this. And then those ideas become real, the collaborations, and let's go. That's why across these days it's so transformational. I've been in enough trainings where that was not the case, to know that that's not really what empowers people, where it's more of a guru-centered, I'm trying to learn their system so I can have their results in some version of their life. No, the prime directive, as we say, is to empower your client's sovereignty. So that's the altar we worship at, is the sovereignty of each individual there. And then when you have people like that are on such sovereign tracks, you could say the paradox is that the community bonding is at the highest, because you have a bunch of outliers who are standing for their truth, yet it's friggin' lonely and tough to be out on your own. You need other people at your side. And that's why the bonding is so enormous. I'm losing track of your original question. Was that it?
I think that it was your why, and you really got into it. The why. Like, why do you do what you do here, building specifically a tribe in alternative health and alternative wealth? I'd love to know why alternative health and alternative health.
Gosh, there's so much to say about this, and I've learned to temper some of my beliefs around this, to make it a little more palatable.
Well, maybe we can begin by, for those of who might be wondering, what exactly are we talking about when we say alternative health, alternative?
That would be a great place to start. Right. If we look at what is the mainstream approaches to health, we'll start with. So it starts as a kid, where go see your doctor. You got a cold, go see your doctor. So I remember being 7 years old, having a cold, go see the doctor, and then he would write me a prescription, and then we would go up to the Rite Aid, and then we would drop it off, And then we go shopping at Ralph's, which is next door to Rite Aid, and then come back, half hour later and get the pills. And then I pop the pills at 7 years old. So this happened enough times as a kid where it struck me, oh my gosh, my doctor, all he does is just like write me a piece of paper and I go get drugs with it. And they're called prescription drugs. Yeah. And it just struck me like, where's his like wisdom, and like how is he actually, what I would say now through a more mature lens is, how is he empowering me to become better at my own health? He's not. It's entirely dependent on him. So when we use a term like sovereignty, what we're referring to is having agency over oneself. Mm-hmm. That's one reason we're so dedicated to this, is because right from the get-go on the health side, it's taken away. It's all given to this quote expert. And all they're doing is just giving us like a piece of paper and getting the prescription drugs. Oftentimes, yes, there are doctors who do a whole lot more than that. Yeah, that's a big part of this allopathic corporate healthcare approach. From that all the way to cancer treatment, the way that chemotherapy, just frying the body, is just considered a go-to. And I had friends, my friend Kirk, I just saw him slowly die in front of me. As a result of this approach, never considered an alternative. And I've had the good fortune of meeting several people who have alternative treatments that are the very much least worth considering. Mm-hmm. I know this is a very touchy subject for people, especially those who've been impacted by cancer. All I'm ever asking is for people to be open to consider other approaches, these alternative approaches. This all comes from my stand for thinking outside the box, not just accepting the dogma that's been handed to us, to say like, oh, well, I'm a Christian because my parents and grandparents and great-grandparents are Christian. Well, maybe that's not your personal truth. I'm not saying don't be Christian. I'm just saying to check in with yourself. What is your own personal truth, capital T? If this is controversial or tough to swallow, then you're probably not going to fit in with our tribe. Yeah, if this makes sense, like, yeah, I really should decide what is best for my body and my own personal truth. Then that's the start of a connection that we can have, and then go from there. On the wealth side, I mean, this is really pervasive too, starting at the level of American education, where we're conditioned to get a job, meaning that a boss is responsible for our livelihood, how much wealth we can accrue. Mm-hmm. So what I was taught, doctor, lawyer, corporate job. Mm-hmm. So because I didn't have the head for being a doctor and I was too much of a rule breaker to be a lawyer, that left corporate job. And I went to business school at Emory my first year. And what struck me is that I had nothing in common with these people around me. It seemed that to be passionate about business is just about being passionate about money, and the separation didn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. And I believe this to this day, that having business as a major creates this separation between like the business side and the quote, like the talent, like the architect or whomever. Any vocation should have a business aspect to it. Mm-hmm. You pick something that really calls to you, and then you're learning business as an aspect of it, not the separation of, oh, there's the business majors. Oh, yeah. And I saw that firsthand when I transferred to USC Film School, like loving movies, that they said to us, you're all screenwriters. This is the agents and managers who come in and talk to us. You're awkward with people. We're the business people. Don't try to go out and sell your screenplays. Leave that to us. You'll just mess it up. You got to stay in your genius behind your laptop and let us handle that for you. And on one hand, it makes sense. There's a place for agents and managers, and some of them are really good in the industry. Yet it was also a way of justifying their existence while denying us our own sovereignty when it came to our wealth. Mm-hmm. Truly being masters of our own destiny. No one empowered that entrepreneurial drive in me. And the filmmakers, side note, who really seem to have longevity, have this entrepreneurial drive in them. Like mm-hmm. Quentin Tarantino strikes me as very much entrepreneurial. That's a dude who makes it happen. Yep. And then basically was able to dictate terms to the industry after Reservoir Dogs and certainly after Pulp Fiction. So the wealth side, as we go further on that, we can look to the 401k, the way that we're told to put money into these corporations, and that's somehow going to take care of us, and how most people don't even question these things. Mm-hmm. S&P 500, like I put money into that, and it was just like after about 3 years in it, I was like negative 500 from what I put in. Like, how is that right? That I'm there at Chase Bank and they're saying, well, that's just how it goes. Big smile. Just to swallow that without even really considering an alternative. And this is really where I credit Monsi with her genius, because she, as others who watch this, like, hear what she's got to say about this topic, because she has so many insights. I've learned so much from her. But when she said to me on our first date that 401 is 101, that basically a 401k is equivalent of a college freshman class. And if you are going to be on this track of wealth, you got to have at minimum a bachelor's and really a master's degree if you want to talk about generational wealth.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot there to really educate yourself around. So for us, then, getting the leaders in alternative health and wealth to come together, to mastermind, to support each other, to spread their knowledge and their transformation. A lot of it's an inside-out job too. So we only can really work with transformational leaders. One reason things don't move is that people are just spreading information and they haven't found a way to penetrate that initial skepticism or this horrible label of disinformation. You're spreading disinformation. Well, on one hand, like, we're dealing with that as an issue, and rather than getting upset about it, to me, I see it as a challenge. Well, how do we communicate in such a way where the truth just penetrates so deeply that it can't help but resonate soul to soul? And that's a big part of why I'm so passionate about communication. My background with public speaking, like, now the game is broader now, not just about speaking from stage and getting clients. Like, yes, we help them with that too. That is a big part of it. Yet also in every conversation, how do you open up that curiosity and have them ask you more questions and be able to see that truth?
One thing that really struck me about the first retreat that I experienced with you and Monsi leading, which was last, I believe, the end of September of 2023. Was how we started and we really honed in on, and you both taught communication skills in a way that I had never, looking back, I thought about it through school and I said, we were never taught this stuff. The basics of respectful communication that leaves both parties or however many parties involved feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling honored, and respected. That was like kind of a mind fuck to me. I was like, how have these basics been stripped from us? This ties into entrepreneurship, right? Like, having the sovereignty to be an entrepreneur comes from, entrepreneurship is all about relationships, about effective communication. And these are things that they just kind of kept from us, these basics. And then tying into, starting with that communication, seeing the type of tribe now that it builds, a cohesive unit of everyone feeling seen, heard, not judged for who they are, but ultimately, just a very, it almost felt like a sacred community because of that.
It is.
There was no gossip. There was no disrespect. Everyone holds each other to their highest standards, or to their highest. We see the best in each other, and so I'd love to ask you about that, about how you go about building tribe and how you feel Abundant Tribe Leader is different from any of those, other masterminds or programs or gurus.
Our audiovisual tech at the retreats, Anthony, said something that really spoke to me and I thought nailed it. He said, Jon, at these events, people treat each other the way that we're supposed to treat each other. And I believe that comes from my own sensitivity to how mistreated either I've been, and on a bigger scale, how people are mistreating each other. So my own personal sense, like I shared around the bullying, being told I was stupid or ugly and not having my voice heard, the sheer lack of curiosity and raising me up at all. On a larger scale, the polarization, see it my way or else on the particular issue. It's so pervasive. We see it in politics, on the vaccine, fill in the blank issue, see it my way or else.
Yeah.
And that's something I really want to go to the mat for, or go to the mat with, when it came to the communication paradigm. So the 3 levels of communication: suppress, express, unify. That at the highest point, it's about unifying through all of our communication. This is a requisite ability as a bunch of tribe leaders. One reason that we salute Martin Luther King as a tribe leader. It wasn't so much, we got to end segregation, white people have been taken from us for far too long, we've had enough. There are others who are beating that particular drum. His was, I have a dream. People would be judged no longer by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Mm-hmm. I have a dream. So when you look at footage from that August 1963 demonstration, right, at the DC Capitol, people of every color have shown up to be there. 250,000 people show up for this, of every color, age, because that unifying communication. That's what we're up to. So when you have people like that who are standing for this higher unity for humanity, of course it's going to bring out the best in each other. You rise above petty differences. We talk about ego and where ego might be coming in. So I think it was Wayne Dyer who said it's edging God out. It's as good of a frame as any if you're on a spiritual track. Notice, okay, is my ego what's present? There's this attachment to, like, I want to be heard. Now, this is an interesting one because it is a fundamental need to be heard that I put in the same category as eating and sleeping, to be heard. Yet, what happens when you're not heard by someone? How angry you get, how your controller comes out. And I got this part of myself too, I'm also aware of. So that would be an example of how ego can be merged with something that is fundamental and beautiful, or in spreading unity consciousness and like wanting people to be accepted. And then you encounter a racist or a homophobe, and how in that moment, gone is the unity consciousness. Instead, I want to destroy that person. Yeah. All right. Or lobotomize them. So that is another example of that ego controller coming in. This is why activism doesn't achieve very much. People have not made peace or reconciled this ego controller part of them in the way that, say, a Martin Luther King has. This is a big part of our context with ATL.
I love that. Oh, man. So many different directions to go, you know. What's coming up for me is, you know, beyond the, you know, the communication, which I feel like I personally am curious. I feel like the viewer might benefit from a little hot AC guidance, because I really did enjoy this. I remember it was at the first retreat that I was at, and it was this was it like an analogy that you used? The hot, the HOT, and
keep
then
it hot,
AC.
turn up the AC.
Yeah, could you share that?
This is the principle that Monsi and I came up with together. Keep it hot. Hot stands for honest, open, transparent. And turn up the AC so it doesn't get too hot. AC stands for acknowledgement, curiosity. So people do a pretty good job in this country, anyhow, of the United States, of keeping it hot, honest, open, transparent. So this is like every outspoken person on social media. We talked about activists. I'm speaking my truth. So going back to the communication framework, this would be level 2, express. If level 1 is suppress, like I'm keeping my voice silent, I don't want to rock the boat too much, then the level 2 is to express. I'm speaking my truth. And the mistake that people make is that there's only 2 options. Either I'm silent or I'm expressing. And what that leads to then is this honest, open, transparent communication, which on one hand is great as opposed to this suppression level. Yet it does lead to arguments oftentimes. That you're not there to raise others up, to really prioritize, are you feeling seen, heard, respected, acknowledged in this conversation? And that's why I say turn up the AC, acknowledgement, curiosity. And it could be as simple as, you know, Evan, I just love your communication style. Were you trained in this? Or you just naturally this way? I acknowledge you. And then there's curiosity to go with. And in that space, yes, you're being raised up, and it's an authentic thing, gang. I think we all have some authentic acknowledgement, curiosity part, unless someone is to their core narcissist, which it's debatable if that is a real thing or not. I know some people believe that it is very much a real thing. Yeah. I would say that the people that come to our retreats, that's a non-issue at all. There is a very healthy part of acknowledgement, curiosity that we're activating with them. And with that, sky's the limit, especially when you get to be around really high level people who have some people trying to take stuff from them. Like I remember running into Ryan Gosling one time outside the Viper Room, and there are people just like asking for photos and just like fawning over him. And so at the Viper Room, I said, Ryan, do you play music? He says, yeah, I do. And this was like 6 years before La La Land, right? So I knew he played piano before a lot of other people did, but he told me all about his piano. I just saw him light up around it because I was genuinely curious. Or when I met Magic Johnson, I said, do you enjoy these meet and greets? Like, what's it like for you? What's it like to be Magic? Yeah. We had a nice back and forth, and they had to tap me on the shoulder because we're in the conversation, like, keep the line moving, buddy. Next person.
Yeah.
So the acknowledgement and curiosity is what really carries the day. And there's really no reason for conflict ever if you think about it, if you just turn up the AC.
Yeah. I mean, I do believe that communication can save the world, because that's what I see when you look out at every major conflict that's happening right now. It's just a breakdown in communication. If you think about it, just like two sides not acknowledging each other or being curious to the other, just sitting in their own truth, just completely unwilling to see anyone else's truth.
Locked in level 2, so nations go to war with each other or this. Now, I have grace for humanity. I'm a pragmatist. So, of course, I get that we're triggered in the moment. There is that flash of anger, that rage that can come over us. We see it on the road. We see it among married couples. It's part of being human. We're negligent if we deny that's there. And what happens next? That's where the discipline, what's known as the refractory period between stimulus and response, the ongoing work for us as humans is to compress that time frame from when a stimulus and response. So something triggers us, and then what happens next? Do we just slam on the gas and try to ram the other car? Do we strike the other person? That doesn't work. I'm very firm on that. That is a non-option for myself and for any human, in my opinion. So what do you do instead? That is an essential curiosity for every person to bring, to get, all right, if that's off the table, what is another option? Go outside. You can pound a pillow if that's part of your process, sure. And there's a way to apply some of these communication tools for sure, taking personal responsibility. Like, okay, here's my part in this, because every conflict has two parts to it. If I wasn't around another person that I'm having a conflict with, they would not be upset most likely in this moment. Like, clearly I have something to do with it. So what is that I'm contributing to the conflict? Search within yourself. Especially as you get to be an adult, you notice certain patterns of yourself. Yeah, I know I can be controlling or demanding or fill in the blank. Start with that. And a magical thing happens when you take responsibility is the other person can't help but respect you for it. Right? Now, some people might take the opportunity to beat you down further, in which case you can draw a boundary and say that, so right now I'm wanting to take responsibility for my part, and this doesn't add anything to say that, I'm a bad person for having done these things, right? I just need you to get that I'm owning my part in this, and you're going to have your chance to own your part in this if you choose. And that way of modeling for others, it will deepen the understanding of the situation, will deepen the relationship between others. If they practice this, everyone wins.
Everyone does win when I feel, people are aware of their, not just sovereignty, but their ability to be a leader. I feel that the most important word in Abundant Tribe Leader is actually the leader, because, and this is another thing I wish they would have taught in school, is that we are all, whether we like it or not, leaders in our own life. The communication, the way that we treat others, either the positive or negative energy that we put out into the world around us, how that projection of our inner world goes out and creates, whether we accept it or not, we are creators and leaders in that. And so, I feel that at these last 2 retreats, I came back, and having learned all of these about tools about leadership, just principles, philosophies on how to build a tribe, how to, honestly, I mean, also just the fact that I felt, I would say, even outside of the church, you know, I used to go to church with my family growing up, and I feel that I felt the presence of God at these retreats even more so than I did at some of the churches I went to, because of this sacred like community that was forming out of respect, love.
Well, the term church gossip is a phrase that we've all heard too.
Right.
So
right.
That alone, ego, edging God out.
Mm-hmm.
If I was running a church, I mean, it just seems to me obvious that you would have a no gossip rule,
mm-hmm.
and you call each other out on it, yet that doesn't happen. So there's a lot of inconsistencies oftentimes with some of these organized religions, and I'm not judging. We're just facts are facts.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel that the biggest difference with abundance retreats and abundant tribe leader, it's funny, I was with Kim, my girlfriend, and we were with her family, and her sister Lo said, "Is it a cult? I've been hearing these retreats are like cults." And I thought about it, and I was like, no, it's actually the opposite of a cult, because at any cult that I've ever heard of, the big recurring scary thing is this almost taking away of your sovereignty and agency.
Yes.
And replacing your sovereignty with this is the one way, this is our way, one way of doing things. You have to do things like this, A, B, C, and there's no other way, you know? And I just experienced the exact opposite at these retreats. And so I'm curious, you know, from your end, how, like orchestrating, designing these retreats, seeing the breakthroughs that have been happening, just, you know, on the other end of it, just like creating this thing from, you know, I would say like what, 3 retreats in, and already we're seeing some insane breakthroughs. I would say every single person at this retreat is mm-hmm. having some massive transformation mm-hmm. and coming back. How have you been transformed?
I've been transformed with each of the aspects of abundance, tribe, leadership. So if I'm going to be holding the space for you all being abundant tribe leaders, and this is an important distinction, this word abundant before tribe leader, there are a lot of people, and myself, I used to be in this category, who was a tribe leader, but I was not abundant. When I was doing the music events, I was gathering the San Diego music and arts creative communities together. Yeah, I was still living with my parents. I didn't earn enough to be able to actually have my own place to live. To throwing house parties later on when I was doing real estate development and creating the tiny house villages.
Right.
So in that 4-year stretch, I was still craving community. So I had a good sized house, and I still have that house, and I would host parties there. And I was not abundant in the role of tribe leader. And it always struck me that something as critical as tribe ought to be assigned a value to it that, and this might be an opinion that others don't align with, yet if something is so important to someone's life, whether it's personal transformation, whether it's curing their cancer, whatever it is, right? Saving them millions of dollars in their taxes. If something is so valuable to someone's life, that person should be paid as delivering that service. So it's incumbent upon us who are in this role, who recognize this, to put some sort of price tag on it, right? Mm-hmm. A price tag that is, frankly, a fraction of the actual value that the person receiving by being a part of this tribe. Mm-hmm. So to really hold that context, and this one reason this is so important, because this is how you're able to do it full time, just on a basic practical level.
Right.
If you're not abundant enough where you can do this full time, it's not sustainable. You'll be caught up with your job and then not hosting like many gatherings, or the gatherings you host are going to be just inconsistent, not really have a purpose to it. I know that I've done so many parties. So to make this your vocation, like this is your occupation in life, is tribe leader, is something that is really important. And one thing we talk about is, you know, when I was growing up, the term influencer did not exist as an occupation. Mm-hmm. So new occupations get invented, like I don't know, all the time, but regularly they get invented. Right. This is a new occupation called tribe leader. So my own evolution around this has been, well, I have to have no limits around my own abundance.
Right.
You know, so what we charge to be part of our tribe is, by some standards, it would be considered a lot of money. It's all relative, of course. Yet some would see it that way. Yet what we're aligned with is that the value you get, and there's a lot of value that our tribe members get in between the retreats. Like, I mean, we could go on and on, a separate conversation about what we do for them, the services provided, how we source from people within the tribe, from people outside the tribe, to really just cover them as much as possible so that they can truly thrive and have the abundant tribe leader like occupation like down with for them. Like, we're obsessed with providing this value and to make it like basically it can't be messed up. If someone just shows up, we got you. So then opening up the channels for our own abundance and then allowing others to experience that too. The reason I'm harping on this one, I think, is because there is a stigma of sorts about monetizing something like this. A lot of people in the spiritual community, spiritual entrepreneur in quotes community, seem to deride the notion of actually being abundant, or they'll talk about it, but their actions don't actually match up with the frequency of abundance. We don't really have space for that at the retreat. If someone is ambivalent about making lots of money, then they're just not going to fit in. If you're clear that, yes, I want to have a full-time living at this. Yes, I want to have more resources so I can provide more for my tribe.
Right.
Have a nice chef I can bring in, be able to include the accommodations. I want to give to other people's causes, be able to support other entrepreneur ventures that I believe in. Some up-and-comer who's got a great idea to really change the industry or change humanity. Yeah, I want to put money towards that. How else have I evolved? I would say that I've attained a certain comfort level with my role that I didn't have even at the first two retreats. Like, in some ways, like I was still figuring it out. Still, like, who are we about? What's our mission? And you've been a tremendous support this. Like, truly, I mean, I can't say enough about how all the conversations we've had, and then you reflecting back to me like, okay, Jon, this is really you at your authentic self, and this is who you get to be for the tribe. So now it's just a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
I bring that fun to the retreats, you know, from the dance parties to the battle of the pods that we had.
Yeah. That was fun, man. I felt like a kid again.
Yes.
Everyone could say that. Yeah, there's just such a lighthearted. It really does feel like we're just kids playing in a playground over at that retreat. You know, like really when it came down to it, I look back and I was like, you know, I haven't felt that light, both from the vegan food to literally what we're putting into our bodies, to the really just the limitless possibilities that we tap into for ourselves, for our businesses, when we throw out these preconceived societal constructs, these expectations and limitations we placed on ourselves because of the way that, you know, society or the matrix said we, you know, need to do things. And actually, speaking of the matrix, I'd love to bring up that, you know, it was called the Red Pill Experience initially.
Yeah.
And then we moved into Abundance Retreat. And I'd love to kind of just pick your brain on, like, what about the matrix do you feel like, what do you feel about the matrix that really, like, you kind of pulled that story and used it in a way that, you know, for our holistic health practitioners and alternative wealth, you know, investors and people coming to this retreat. Like, what does the matrix have to do at all with all this stuff?
Well, I was at Emory University as a business major, so I entered fall of 1998 as a freshman. So the Matrix comes out in March 1999. So I go to the theaters in Atlanta to go see this movie that people are buzzing about at that time. I was kind of late to it. I'd already been in theaters for about 2 months when I saw it. And I'm watching Keanu Reeves in his cubicle, and maybe because he's ethnically ambiguous like me, we're on similar lines. I've always kind of had like a relatability with Keanu Reeves. And then seeing him in this cubicle job, which basically was him on the corporate job route that I was on. And I saw myself as him. I've always been a lover of movies and related deeply to certain characters. When there's truth, it really penetrates me. And then for him to realize he's trapped in a matrix, that this is all just a simulated reality designed to keep him, as they say in the movie, a slave, a cog, just repeating this over and over. So I correlated that with a corporate job where, as I heard many other people who've worked in corporate America, that was as far as I got, because I quit after freshman year to go to USC. I was so inspired by this movie and previous movies I'd seen, like Pulp Fiction or Glory, that had really spoken to me, that I wanted to pursue filmmaking. Yet this idea of corporations is one type of matrix to be trapped in, as in, I don't believe necessarily in the products that we're pushing out. I don't really believe that it betters humanity. It doesn't really stimulate me in terms of passion or purpose, yet the health and benefits and dental, you know how expensive that stuff is. I'm really glad that they got it for me. I'm able to have this house, right? The whole construct was a matrix, it seemed to me. And I think for a lot of us, if you talk to enough people who have, quote, escaped corporate, they would echo this type of sentiment. And it brings to mind a larger issue. You know, the website for the movie is whatisthematrix.com. And that's been a question that has stayed with me. What is the matrix at any given time? What is the system of control that's stopping people from having their highest self-expression in the world? Now, as we look to health and wealth, there's certain things that I've been getting really curious about. And one reason I believe I attracted Monsi into my life, who is so passionate and so brilliant with these two areas. Yet when I saw the health, like I mentioned, the doctor just writing me the prescription, to seeing how cancer was handled, and just the system of healthcare that didn't seem to really illuminate the spirit and the natural healing power. You know, when COVID happened, they're talking about masking up and social distancing. And I was like, how do I boost my natural immunity? Now, this should not be a controversial question by any stretch. How do I boost my natural immunity? That's a question that should be asked regardless of what's going on in the world. Right. That's where I went, is how do I boost my natural immunity? Not knowing the scope of this thing and what was going to go down. How do I boost my natural immunity? The fact that this is even considered alternative health is kind of ridiculous. Like the cold showers, the breath work, you know, the supplements. That is something that made it so, like, I mean, I got COVID once, and it was like, okay, like it was like getting the chicken pox, basically, for me anyhow. Like, I'm not commenting to anyone else. That was my experience. And I believe it's because I had really taken on boosting my natural immunity. Now, I do see that as a particular kind of matrix. And if someone were to look at, well, where the interlocking matrices between big pharma, big tech, you know, the idea of shadow banning certain people, denying their expression, labeling disinformation.
Speaking of shadow ban, we might have to censor some of what we just said. What do you think, Ian? That might be a good idea, because we might get shadow banned for the conversation we're having right now.
You started the Matrix conversation. I didn't bring that up. That was you.
Hey, man, I mean, I'm cool with it. Hey, if we get shadow banned, I still, like, the real ones, still going to see it. You know?
Well, it's one reason we're working on community.health. And this is an idea that sprung up on the last evening of the retreat, as we were in that particular state of consciousness, that it's time for us to create our own YouTube for alternative health and alternative wealth.
Yeah.
Where nothing can be shadow banned.
Yeah.
And to have our own real estate on the internet, community.health. So we're developing that.
That's exciting. What else is next?
Empowering more tribe leaders to have more tribes out in the world. That is the focus right now. We see tribes as being the next level beyond masterminds. The term mastermind, like the term community, has been watered down so much. It's been devoid of a lot of its meaning. It's trendy right now to sell a mastermind. And, you know, there are people whom I respect, who I learned from, who sell how to create masterminds. Yet, tribe is taken to a whole other level. Tribe is this element of soul family. So some people have gently accused me of cultural appropriation. For what it's worth, we appropriate from all cultures, not just Native American, if you want to call it that. You know, when I say that we appropriate from all cultures, in the same way that I eat cuisine from all countries. I mean, I love Indian food, Chinese food, Thai food, Brazilian food, Caribbean food. I love it all. So I love so many aspects of this culture as well. Yes, I want to learn their dancing, their chants, and their practices. I love it. I see myself as a citizen of the world before anything else. So a term like tribe is very resonant for me, as in soul family. That's got your back. No matter what, we rise together. We're only strong as our weakest member. That's something that masterminds tend not to have, where it's more about the individual achievement, at least that I've experienced. Is very kind of typical American capitalism in that way. Hasn't quite evolved to this place of soul family and tribe. We use other terms like Ubuntu, which is from South Africa. So Nelson Mandela, in unifying South Africa after apartheid, used this concept of Ubuntu that was known to people and evoked that part. A person is only a person through other persons. Unity consciousness. We don't have a word in English that really nails it the way that they do. Ubuntu. In Hawaii, the term pono, to be in right relationship, mean nothing in the space between you and others. No projections, no judgment, no resentments, no withholding. To be pono with others. Again, no word in the English language does as good of a job capturing that as this Hawaiian term pono. So this is all part of our collective culture there. So the tribe part really, really speaks to me. So creating more abundance tribes out in the world, where I see a world where someone graduating from high school who's a mission-driven entrepreneur, as opposed to this default question of what college are you going to, which to me is a matrix. This acceptance that everyone should be going into student loan debt in many cases, or just being part of a system that trains people to be more employees and entrepreneurs. These business classes that, having taken them myself and now having been an entrepreneur for 17 years, aren't as applicable out in the world as an entrepreneur. It's all part of the matrix. So for certain people who are critical thinking, mission-driven entrepreneurs, and one thing I'm very proud of at the tribe is the age range that we have. 25 to 70, right? Because this is psychographics, not demographics. It's alignment of values. So someone graduating high school could say, what tribe should I join? Hey, what tribe are you joining? And then this becomes an annual membership that you're part of, just like how you have a school year, only this is your tribe that's empowering your health, wealth, and sovereignty. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the tagline that we developed.
Together we rise. Yeah.
Together we rise. Really, what for me, everything, when it came to the tribe, at this last retreat, I had some major downloads. Like, we were in the hot tub, Mira was spitting freestyle cipher. But after that, we did some theta healing work, and I got really I started getting these visions of all of these different tribes. I don't think the word tribe is appropriate. If anything, it's appropriating from all of our ancestors. I mean, tribes were around since the beginning there was just tribes. That was all there was. And I started to see all of these different, through time, these different kingdoms would rise and fall. In my head, I was just seeing these different tribes form, building these massive empires, where oftentimes, looking back to the fall of Rome or to the fall of the feudal Japan, these different societal structures that formed around these hierarchies, I started to sense that there was this control that started to remove the tribal element out. Start labeling tribes as that's the savages, right? Yeah. For example, in America, you have these capitalistic, really just, people looking at these tribes going, we know better than them. So let's silence them, remove them. And I just really saw how Abundant Tribe Leader, for me, it was honoring this, it was really what worked. These tribes that were, formed our culture, were the foundation of our really everything that we have now. I really feel like there was just this purity to these tribes that has been stripped from modern society in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that's why I study history. Anyone who is interested in the future, being set up to win in the future, has to know their history. it's all human behavior, and this is something that is sadly missing from a lot of people with this instant gratification obsession, is the wisdom of seeing the bigger picture, past, present, future. So what you're referring to is really important for every person to know. What we did to these Native American tribes, and we as a country did to the Native American tribes, we're all responsible for this. In my opinion, this, along with slavery, are the two biggest black marks on our history in this country. And we get to take full responsibility for that because we're still feeling the repercussions of that. And there's whole other conversations to be had about that. The purity you're referring to is that they had created a way of life. They had figured stuff out that worked really well for them. Now, some might say that, oh, well, that was for its time and it's not relevant now with technology. Well, how does that adapted for 2024? That's what we're talking about. That's what we're creating.
Right.
What does tribe look like in 2024, where everyone is provided for, everyone rises together? There might be some humbling of that individualistic greed. Yay, I want to be on the cover of Forbes. I want to have the McMansion. Well, how much of that's ego? Again, we get to look at that, right? And there's nothing wrong with like wanting that as long as it doesn't hijack you and be like the driving force behind things. Is it ego? How will this contribute to humanity, you having the big mansion or the jet or whatever, right? If you can align with that, it's go time. So yes, the having each other's backs is something that we're really, really big on. That's why it doesn't work online too. Like every one of our tribe leaders has to have an in-person event inside of their 1-year tribal membership. It's a requirement. You got to bring them together at least once a year. You might have tribe members from all over the world, yet if that's how they find you online, that's how they're drawn to you, because that's just a reality. 2024 is that you market online. One reason is different from, say, the 1700s. So you might have tribe members from all over the world, yet they all do get to come together in one place. It's not a true tribe unless that happens. And then how you facilitate that bonding and transformation, well, that, if I can humbly say, is a genius zone of mine. Like, I've dedicated myself to it since 2008. This is why people have come back to my events again and again and again, because I'm obsessed with creating that true tribal bonding in a way that calls out the authenticity, the sovereignty, these other things we've been talking about, produces real lasting breakthroughs regarding their health, wealth, and sovereignty. I mean, it's the real deal. We bring in experts from all over, and it's not enough that they be an expert on a topic. It's like, do you align with these values of tribe? So we get to be really selective too with whom we bring in. It's not the easiest work that we've taken on, me and Monsi, to be frank. There are others we've seen who do versions of this, yet you can tell that when they bring on like a so-and-so big name, or so-and-so has created this much conversions online and we can learn from them. Yeah, but what are their values? What do they really stand for? Yeah. With a sacred time of getting to address the tribe, are they unifying the tribe, their words? Or is there some undercurrent that might be activated of not enoughness or greed or competition? You get to be responsible for that. So that's why we're oftentimes sourcing from within the tribe, the actual leadership. And one thing we've been very blessed is that we've attracted some brilliant, friggin' high-performing people. Oh, yeah. Whether they're already in the 7 or 8 figures, some of them, or whether they're on the rise and clearly on that trajectory. You're certainly one of these people that has such a unique wisdom and perspective to bring, and coming from the unification of the tribe, while also bringing something very practical and actionable.
I'm just so grateful that it was this tribe that I, was able to step into my leadership with, because if it had been, one of these other communities out there, masterminds out there, they're a little more cutthroat, to say the least. But this community really allowed me to, take my time in speaking up in front of a larger audience. That was something that I had since high school with that antibiotic, agoraphobia. That was like a thing for me that I was still like, I don't know if I can. And then on top of it, last retreat, speaking in front of Chris Gandy, former NBA player, played with Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls. And I see that he's going up before me.
Yeah.
With his tax strategies. And just to have...
and he friggin' loves you. Right?
Yeah, that guy's awesome, man.
You thought you were amazing. He wants to work with you.
And just to see a family, really the soul family, like that people see the best in me. They believe in me. It's like when I stepped on stage, when I stepped up in front of this audience, it wasn't like, oh, I have to imagine them with their underwear because of how they're making me feel right now. It's like, no, like, it really feels like everyone's just there to really just let you shine and let you be who you are. Even, be you, be who you be, even if it's, even if I'm a little blubbery and rambly at first. And
it's funny. We're still removed from that style of public speaking training. I forgot that was still a thing.
Dude.
It reminds me of how I got hired by Google to do some public speaking training to their employees. And my approach they found to be so off-putting. Interesting, I got hired by HBO right before that one, and they love the training. And this is their headquarters in Times Square.
Nice.
Rave reviews, and I forwarded it to my mom. It was really great. And then I do the same training at Google, their New York City location, Chelsea Market, and they shredded me. Because I think they were expecting more conventional public speaking training. Yet I was saying to them, be fully present with this audience member and see what truth emerges in this exchange between you two, right? There's a level of trust and leaping, right? That maybe for people who are more engineer or heady type, this wasn't quite landing. I do see communication as being sacred. It's a privilege to get to speak to anyone. The greatest conversations are ones that are not scripted. So you are not trying to memorize what you said in any great memorable conversation you have. Just think about the one-on-one conversations that we ever have. They're not scripted. Right. Therefore, to a degree, the one-to-many shouldn't be either. It's different every single time. That said, as a professional, you know what message you want to communicate, what's the training that they are meant to take with them that's actionable. That's a given. Yet I've been really blessed to be mentored by people in this particular way. I really can't claim credit for this one. Like, it was the right mentors I happened to source who taught me this style of presenting that's really allowed me to be my authentic self, to love it, to make a big difference. And I think the results speak for themselves. That people love coming back. They're inspired to create their own tribes.
And just the crossover at that higher level of community, and when you have a room really of experts in their different niches, yet we all fit in to that health and or wealth, it's just allowed for some explosive business opportunities for me personally. First retreat, first 50K month, this next retreat broke that record of my previous biggest month. And we're moving into now, I would say, every tribe leader getting, specifically the inner circle, right? The year-long now diamond, gold members, giving them that platform, I'm very excited about. And I'm excited to be a part of the ride, helping on the calls as well as at the retreats, to really make sure that every tribe member gets to shine in their zone of genius and get the opportunities to network and then support and be of service to the tribe. And it's not about sales. I say 50K, record breaking month. It's great. For me, it's not about the money. It's, I get to make that amount of impact for others.
100%. And those are the people who align with us, So we have someone who invested $44,000 to be in our year-long group. And
not just someone, 5 someones.
Yeah.
Now coming on,
I'm thinking
going
about
on to 6.
Yeah. Just out of the most recent one. I'm thinking about one particular one where she teaches infinite banking and how to have whole life insurance policies, which is something I've been researching along the alternative wealth track. And this is very proven. R. Nelson Nash, Become Your Own Banker. I encourage everyone to research whole life insurance, cash value policies. So I was set up with a different company to be getting my policy. We were going to have our conversation actually right after the retreat. We've been having a lot of email exchanges, has initial intake interview, and we're going to finalize that after the retreat.
Nice.
Then This individual, she, Knock, right?
Yeah.
She joins us at the diamond level, and it's so clear to me and Monsi, of course, we're going to work with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
We keep it within the tribe.
Absolutely.
It's what we do. She has made this investment. Our commitment is that it come back to her 10x.
Right.
So, of course, that starts with us, and we're going to make the investment with her and then get the great returns and be able to tell everyone, and then on and on it goes. So keeping it within the tribe is something that's so crucial. That's why any investment someone makes will come to them many times over.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way I see it is this is how it was meant to be from the beginning of time. This is how people did not just business, but how they lived life. It was like, hey, I have this I can help you with. I can help you with this here. Bartering systems were invented, right? And then the monetary system was invented, all that. But before all that, it was, hey, I can help you. Thank you for helping me. I can help you. And that's like the basis of entrepreneurship that I've found, that they don't teach that in school. They don't teach this very basic principle in schools, which is you can do what you like the purpose that you feel called toward, and you can do it for others. Mm-hmm. And if you really just, with Abundant Tribe Leader, it's like if you put others and you want to lift them up, everything else is going to just flow back to you.
It's like if you take the crime aspect out of it and all the violence, and you know where I'm going with this, the mafia approach makes a lot of sense, where it is a soul family. Some of it's blood, other times it's chosen family, and you're rising together. Mm-hmm. And there is actual dollars being exchanged between them. So it's not barter, because we live in a world where that's where stuff happens, right? Like through actually dollar exchange. So knowing that, especially in 2024, and then there's other ways too with crypto and all that, right? Mm-hmm. That there has to be some of this monetary exchange to make things go. And the commitment is that we rise together, we become stronger together. That statement about this directly applies to entrepreneurship, where you have a single stick easily broken. The bundle of sticks, though, which is the tribe, you have 20 of them, 30 of them.
Right.
Doesn't even bend. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the power of being part of a tribe.
Mm-hmm. Love that analogy, man. Closing thoughts. Jon, it's been a pleasure to work with you these last few months, man. It's been a ride, man. It's been a wild ride, and I feel like we're just taking flight. We just barely left the nest, and we're still, so much. So I appreciate you so much, brother.
Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah. I really appreciate how you've empowered my leadership, my own business savvy, and saying yes to being this abundance container for our lives and for our tribe members. It's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
This is something that bonded me and Monty from the very beginning. And actually, I grew up with this too, with my parents being entrepreneurs, was having your closest friends be ones you do business with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That this separation, that's for JOB people. When you're entrepreneurs, there isn't that separation between personal and professional. It all
life and
comes
business
together. Oh, yeah. The house parties, the getaways for the weekend. These are people that you're meant to go deeper with. Because let's face it, if you have a getaway for a weekend, you can cover so much ground versus a Zoom meeting here and there. Yeah. People stifle their own growth and potential in ways that they don't even realize. Mm-hmm. I've said before that the reason a 2-hour meeting for most people is something they dread, just on a whole, the average 10 person or so 2-hour meeting, people dread it being a part of it because not much gets done. Well, why is that? Why is such a common human experience? It's because that 2-hour meeting really should be 2 days. You're trying to compress too much across 2 hours. So what the mind has to do is to label, oh, he's the loudmouth, she's the know-it-all, he's the one who never says anything. You're not able to really go deep and honor the sovereignty of each individual across 2 full days together inside of a mansion. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big believer in this model. So for our abundant tribe leaders, at the very least, that's what your event could look like. Just rent a house and bring people together for that time. It's going to be magical. People are going to be so relieved to break out of their boxes and the labels that they put on others or people put on them. Mm-hmm. That's where the depth and the real growth and the greater success for everyone comes from.
What would you say to someone who is a JOB person, but they're watching this and they're an aspiring entrepreneur, or they're considering it, or they're intrigued, and they're like on the fence? They're like, is that for me?
That is the right question to ask. Is it really for you? Because it's not for everyone. There are people who, for whatever reason, they're really drawn to the security and stability of having a job. They like the particular company they work with. Hopefully they believe in their values and believe that they're contributing something positive to the world. So I would start with that. If you are, in fact, someone who is in the employee type role, we honor that, and be discerning. Don't be a rep for big pharma. Be discerning with the company that you're aligning your precious energy with. Are they bringing something positive to humanity? Now, if you're like me and are essentially unemployable, have issues with authority, have this big calling that you're meant to live a boundless life, truly a room with no roof, a mountain with no top. If you resonate with that, like that's how I'm meant to move through life, then clearly entrepreneurship, investing, this is the world that you're meant to play in. So from that place, what excites you? We were in a conversation last night about passion and purpose. And the passion part, it's important for someone to distinguish between the two. So passion is, what's the thing that turns you on that you can just do for weeks on end and have more energy at the end than the beginning? Purpose is, how do I contribute in a lasting, meaningful way to others? Mm-hmm. Passion is me focused. Purpose is others focused. Mm-hmm. I would ask anyone, which one do you think is better for your business? The purpose, to my mind, I think passion is a little overrated. I believe that purpose, you lead with that. How do I contribute to others in the most meaningful way possible? Well, yeah, others can get on board for that. You'll ignite your passion for contribution. Now it gets to look different ways. For me, it happens to look like speaking and hosting events. For a lot of the tribe leaders, they are drawn to some version of that. Then we have tribe leaders who are not drawn to hosting their own events. They want to support other event leaders in their ways. And that's beautiful too. So there's a way to align yourself with these different ways of contributing in a lasting, meaningful way. I would get extremely curious about that. Try different things. Try things that have a proven success aspect to it. Proven business model. People are, quote, crushing it and making lots of money at this. There are so many things out there that are truly beneficial to humanity that really spread so much light you can make a lot of money at. Choose one and go from there.
I love it. Yeah, man. I feel like maybe I just got lucky. Falling into my passion. I think going after my passion first, and then once I dove into that, finding how I can turn that passion into purpose, how I can use it to help others. So I feel like I maybe just got lucky with that.
I think you did, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a formula that you can really train others in.
Yeah. I think the one thing about me that was always a little different was I was always going towards like, what can I do that doesn't feel like work? And I just kept going down that rabbit hole. Maybe, like, honestly, my laziness might have been a blessing, because part of me just wanted to kick back and play video games all day. And then so when I went into film class and I was like editing, and it felt like a video game. Like I was just editing my video together, and I'd made this thing. I was like, that was homework? Can I do that for the rest of? I can. Like,
yeah. And for me, I loved hosting house parties, and we hosted retreats at houses. Right. and parties. There's dancing, and there is a party aspect to it. Right. So in that regard, of course, I took an aspect of my passion. What was the thing that I would just drawn to, would do anyway if I got paid nothing for it, and find a way to make money at it. So Warren Buffett has said some version of this. Like, that's the key. Find what you love doing, and then find what find a way to get paid for it. So that is an aspect of it. I think there's something very incomplete, though, just about saying do what you love and the money will follow.
Right.
You got to marry it with purpose.
Purpose. I want to ask you, shameless plug time.
Okay.
Shameless plug time. I want to hear about what's next for Abundance Retreats. When's the next retreat? Who is this for? Who should be hitting us up and looking to apply to the next one?
The next Abundance Retreat is happening July 15th through 17th in San Diego. We rented another beautiful mansion in El Cajon area in the mountains. And that's our style, is that we like to change it up with the different mansions and nature. So we'll be convening together for those 3 days. We tell people to block out the fourth day too, because we find oftentimes that's further integration. You want to be around some of the people more and just kind of have that day free to see where it goes. That's the next Abundance Retreat. You can always go to abundanttribeleader.com to find out what's happening next. Follow us on Instagram. Consider what it would mean to be a part of a tribe. I would say for anyone who is watching this, there is some resonance with being a part of a tribe. In my experience, even if people are part of, quote, communities, it's a whole other level what we bring. And again, if we're going to do shameless plug, I'll say that I'm world class when it comes to this. I'm obsessed with it. I believe that there's no higher calling, going back to when I was in high school and through that first house party, that there is no higher calling than bringing people together. And I've done this enough times, the multi-day in-person events, been to so many, that I've taken the best of everything. And that's the experience that people have at one of our Abundance Retreats. So would love to see you at one.
Oh, well, I'll be there at the next one. I'm screaming from the hills. Like, everybody, I feel like one time in their life needs to go to one of these Abundance Retreats. Truly life-changing for me. So thank you, Jon, for having me join the team and, hitting me up back last fall and getting me on board, man. I'm so excited to be on your team, man. Just keep creating together.
Thank you, brother. Together we rise.
Together we rise. I want to give you a big hug.
Heart to heart as always. Love you too.